Okay. Fried Plantain made another video. Trevor Noah defends Bill Burr in Riyadh Comedy Festival and speaks out on Charlie Kirk.
It is also crazy how like comedians will take the most smoke in the day and age that we live in.
Oh God, I don't remember. Like, is Trevor Noah another one of those people who always just sucked in them, then became famous and wealthy, and it just all went to his head? But yeah, Trevor Noah. Okay, comedians take the most smoke because they're trying to get reactions. They're literally out there saying things, trying to get reactions out of people. You say something, you know, hopefully it's funny to someone, but it's definitely going to be very unfunny to others.
Right? Like the president of the United States goes to Saudi, dances with them. People just like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, you know? You got to.
Oh God, he's going to compare Trump going, we don't like that either. We don't like that. Who likes Trump? Literally no one. No one. Nobody. Even the people that like him, you know, they have some delusional idea of who he is. But I don't even think his fans would come up with cope, I assume, as to him going dancing around with the people who did 9/11. It's another thing when you're just going for money. Like they don't have to associate with Saudi Arabia at all. The president does have to deal with other countries. That's just how it is. I never particularly cared for Trevor. You know what it was? I think like all these people just were pretending to be woke during quarantine. You know? I think that's just what it was. So they were never really saying their real takes or feelings, like Andrew Scholes. Like, and it was comfortable enough because they were getting head pats, but they got it for the head pats. And then when they stopped getting head pats for saying things that were like reasonable, they got bitter. That's what I think.
Of golf, Saudi, huh? Best golfers in the world. Formula One goes to Saudi. You name it. Everyone goes. Comedians, how could they?
Because they're supposed to be the truth tellers, the free speechers. Going to a land where they specifically cannot do free speech, that they are so protective of, and they are like they're not just like going and doing it. They're also like defending it, and you just don't have to. Or like Bill Burr saying how like great it is. They're just like us. He was literally expecting them to be like all just living in tents. Like he has this weird like, you know, Orientalist, like just racist idea of what other countries are.
You're like the bastions of free speech. You cannot say anything you want in Saudi. How could you go there? Don't say anything about Charlie Kirk. I wasn't going to say anything about... Yeah, but don't say anything about Charlie. I wasn't going to say anything about Charlie Kirk, but don't. There's nothing funny about it. Oh, now you tested me. I mean, there's nothing funny about it?
Trevor Noah's...
No. That's not the same at all. Going in and whitewashing for the Saudi government and like making weird excuses. Bill Burr's like, there were 4 hot women in the front row and their faces weren't even covered. I could see their faces. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Awesome. So cool.
Trevor Noah's defense of comedians who performed at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, along with his commentary on the Charlie Kirk shooting and its aftermath, presents a multi-layered critique of contemporary moral hypocrisy, freedom of expression.
Okay, we're in AI land again. AI land again. Fried Plantain. You got to stop doing this. Okay? The other video with showing Bert and Bobby Lee and Bert wanting to do the OnlyFans thing, that was cool. You showed what you wanted to show. It was impactful. And here we are. But this, it's like already, like when you are going to do ChatGPT scripts, all this means nothing. Too many words, and it's very obvious. So like I know it seems like Fried Plantain, I like his storytelling. I like his you know, he has something to say that he's putting together and putting out there. Great. But AI scripts, they sound like AI scripts. And they're just an unnecessary amount of words.
His arguments are not a simple justification of individual choices, but rather a philosophical exploration of the conflicting pressures artists face in a world where ethics, economics, and speech intersect uneasily. By contrasting Saudi Arabia's restrictions with those emerging within the United States, Noah frames the issue not as one of geography or ideology, but of universal human inconsistency.
I'm not sure if you heard.
story. So there's a bunch of comics that went to Saudi Arabia, and then there's comics talking shit, and there's other comics like, well, I gotta get this money, you know what I'm saying? Weren't you one of the comics who went to Saudi Arabia? Oh, man. Yeah, it was a whole... How many was it in the end? Was it like 50, or did it start as 50 and then... It was huge,
Weeping
though.
Scorpion,
Right? It was
thank
Saudi
you.
Arabia's
Have
first
a great
comedy
day.
festival, I think, the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and they had a bunch of comedians go out there.
Thank you for liking and commenting.
It's been all over the news. See people arguing about it on TikTok. It's like, let me tell you what I think about what happened
What?
there. It's been all over the news. See people arguing about it on TikTok. It's like, let me tell you what I think about what happened.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
I don't even know what that voice was. Okay.
I'll start with this. Like, when you know what
Thank you,
Saudi
Mel.
Arabia is all about, it's weird to go to a comedy festival that is paid for by Saudi Arabia. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean. There's a difference. I'm all for going anywhere to perform for anyone, because there are people who live in countries that don't agree with what their countries are doing. So I don't.
Right, but he didn't go perform for them. He went to perform for royalty and the insanely wealthy, the like your actual fans, the regular everyday people that anyone would care about, are have no chance of ever being able to go there.
Don't assume that everybody who lives in a country is the same as the people running the country, right? That's the first thing. But when the government is paying you to come, that's like a direct relationship that's different.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Like, it changes up. And I don't know, man, like Saudi Arabia, you're like, damn. You just do a cursory search. You don't even have to like dig deep. You don't have to go do your research, or just...
If this was in Israel, no one would have said nothing. None of them, certainly. Or the people that would say something are not people who they would give a shit about. Hey, Grizzler.
Things that Saudi Arabia does, you know what I mean? Like, you see all the comedians who went, like Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., like, I was like a whole bunch, Aziz Ansari. You know what I mean? I'm friends with all of these guys. Like, I'm just like, but they went to Saudi, and I'm like, if you search Saudi, you see the things that happened there, right? Government is on some like almost dictator level shit, right? Like you say the wrong thing, you get disappeared in a moment, because like 1 minute your family knows where you are and then they don't.
The Saudi government's financial sponsorship of the festival intensified this criticism, transforming what might have been an act of cultural outreach into an apparent exercise in image laundering, a form of comedy washing akin to the sports washing already common through Formula One and golf.
The script is so obviously AI. It's painfully, like, you know, I feel like it's something where it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Idealism is rarely divorced
I'm
from
going to leave
survival.
a comment.
I was like, oh, would you
after
go to
this.
Saudi? I'm like, I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes. It would have to be an amount of money that makes me not care. No, I'm being honest with you. It would have to be an amount of money that makes me not care about everything else that I'm going to lose. That's the honest truth.
Okay. So I can say that I wouldn't do that for any amount of money, because you can't buy your reputation and your legacy. There's no amount of money that they can give you that will ever change the fact that, like, this is what you chose to do in your one life. This is who you are. You demonstrate who you are with your actions. You know, you can think you're this or that kind of person, but you don't know until you actually do it. Okay? And so that's nice he's being honest or something like that. But maybe he's just, like, I feel like him saying this is like, maybe, I don't know if it's to do it, but it conveniently, I think, is like a starting point to cushion a blow of disappointment in the future, where this is something that people will look back on and be like, well, he did say that he'd do it for the right amount of money. Like, this is all on the canvas of your life. This is what you want to draw. It's sad. Like, you don't have meaningful shit in your life.
So like every person who would be disappointed in me, I would have to have an amount for what that's worth in my life. So then if somebody said to me, like, I'm disappointed in you, in my head, I'd be like, 10,000.
10,000 is enough for someone you care about, that you care about how they think about you. 10,000 is enough for for someone to be disappointed in you. 10,000. I feel like he hasn't thought this bit out more.
Every time that would happen, I'll just like have that little number. I'll be like, yeah, this is already paid for. This is fine. But if it's not that kind of money, then no, like, I personally wouldn't do it if it's not that kind of money. But I also think there's a little bit of like, I don't know, I'm so conflicted on this. Because look, on the one hand, I get what people are saying. Some people are like, oh, it's comedy washing and the sports washing, and Saudi they're trying to get people to come in to launder their image. And I go, but
They are.
is it laundering their image? Because
Yeah, it is. It's promoting tourism. They built like a brand new tourist attraction, right? Where they put this comedy club. Yes. Are you fucking stupid, Trevor Noah? He's just coping because his friends are doing it. You don't have to do this. You could have just stopped. Here. You could have stopped. Sometimes you could just not say anything. I feel like these are signs of like an unfulfilled person.
people going there that makes you now go like, where you going? What's happening there? What are you doing there? And it's like, now Sonny's like, we just snuck away. We were playing golf. We were enjoying ourselves.
In a globalized entertainment industry where most artists already navigate corporate and political pressures, the moral purity demanded by critics is, in his view, performative, challenging the double standard inherent in the criticism. When comedians travel to Saudi Arabia, they are accused of betraying free speech. Yet when political leaders...
Not just... It's not even the free speech. The free speech aspect is like hypocrisy. Is a hypocrisy thing, right? That's an argument for hypocrisy. But going over there to specifically whitewash and... When you're getting paid shitloads of money for barely any work, you are being used. That's just, let's be real.
Comedians will take the most smoke in the day and age that we live in, right?
Do you think that's crazy? Again, like I said, comedians are out there saying shit to stir shit up. Some people hopefully will think it's funny, but a lot of other people are going to be very displeased. That's just reality. So, yeah, most people aren't out there dropping spicy takes online.
Be like the bastions of free speech. You cannot say anything you want in Saudi. How could you go there? That's a very American point of view. I'm going to let you know now, right? And it is a privilege. You should keep that point of view, but it's a very American one. Because in many countries around the world, you can't just say whatever you want when you're performing or when you're there. Like Singapore, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Malaysia in the house as well. You know what I'm talking about?
Again, performing for random fans is very different than going and performing for Saudi royalty and government. I don't like how I see the world right now. I don't trust my perspective because I know that I'm in a really bad place and I don't want to protect that. When I'm at this point, I don't want to... The world seems very dark. It's very dark in here right now, but I know that there's stuff out there. I can't touch it yet. But the answer is not just selling out. Like, finding meaning is something. No one can give you meaning. No one can tell you what's meaningful. You have to choose what you think is meaningful enough to move towards. And some people can do that more easily than others. But I can completely relate with being disenchanted with people in the world. But probably also he said all those guys are his friends. So that's the company he's in. That's the mindset he's got going on. But that's not the only option. Okay, I know what I'm seeing, and I know I'm seeing things that are happening that are true, hopefully, right? But the framing that I have right now is just as strong of an influence as an overly positive framing would be. I know that my feelings, my body are under the influence of what I'm dealing with, and I don't have my footing steady yet. And I know that. I just know that my perspective is based on fear and not, living. And I don't want to live based on fear anymore.
It's almost perfect comedy timing that this happened now, right? Because had this comedy festival happened at any other time, I think America as an idea would have had more of a leg to stand on as a moral authority, right? But
No, actually, no. It still would have been, nothing changed. Nothing changed because of, this is the other thing. When your brain is internet argument, like internet discourse pickled, that's what that is. He's like, all you people with these takes. And it's like, those are some people, but those people have nothing to do with the thing that we're talking about right now.
Jimmy Kimmel gets kicked off his show for not making, by the way, he didn't even make a joke. I went back
Yeah, he
to look
didn't.
for the joke that they said. There's no
He
joke.
didn't,
He just
yeah.
had a comment about something that he didn't feel was appropriate, and whether he's wrong or right, but it wasn't even a joke.
He cites the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's shooting as a telling example. Following the event, hundreds of individuals were reportedly fired or ostracized for making comments, sometimes privately, about the incident. The national response, Noah argues, was not to question the proliferation of guns, but to restrict discussion of the tragedy itself.
Same country. Same country where hundreds of people have been fired for saying anything about Charlie Kirk post him being shot. Anything. I didn't wish for it, but now you can't terrorize your population if they dare to say something about the thing. Do you know what I mean? This is the same country where people make jokes about Abraham Lincoln being shot.
Comedians get too fixated on what is on social media. Yeah. Like content creators. Like many around me. Here. Okay, here's the link again. Like I said, like his videos, but the script is definitely AI. But the structure, I see the structure, I see the points, but compared to the Bobby Lee and Burt video, which was just making points, showing the videos, all of this unnecessary description of what we just saw, we just saw it. Okay, Too Lazy to Try made a video. Bill Burr crashes out on his fans. Here's the link. He has not been liking the fallout of him doing the Riyadh Comedy Festival. So
I can't believe you went to that place I can't find on a map. And this bot said I was upset about it. So now I am. I can't believe how much anger I had about this issue after it went viral.
So you're here to apologize?
No, not at all.
Oh, he's on Conan O'Brien. Oh, not at all? Oh, okay. Why are you so mad, bro? Could it be because you betrayed your professed values? When you profess that you have certain values and talking shit about people going over and performing for the Saudi government in the past, people are gonna give you criticism for that. You were supposed to be the down-to-earth, tell it like it is guy that people had respect for, thought had character. Just because the world has worn you down doesn't mean that your character is worth any less. Your reputation, your character, even if no one knows anything about your character or your standards, or that you try to be some kind of thing, you have it, that you care and you try and you have your specific personal principles. So any other people sucking, life sucking, doesn't change that. So if you ever had values, if you ever cared about what kind of person you are in this world, character, integrity, it never became less important. You're just looking at it through jaded old eyes.
It was one of the most amazing experiences I've had as a comedian. It was incredible. And what was the...
Yeah, I was just surrounded by rich people. They kept the slaves away, out of sight they put the slaves away for the night or whatever.
The best part is my whole life is I've been paranoid about the news. I watch the news and I always go this doesn't feels like they're moving stuff around, they're shifting it. So to actually kind of be in the middle of one of those stories and actually confirm it and watching them lying their ass off saying there was no women there, which was a lie.
How many? And does that matter? Who cares? These are all individual points that may or may not have much weight to them. But fundamentally, the core of the issue is that you profess these values. You literally said that people who do this are scum or whatever. I forget exactly what he said, but he had harsh rebukes for comedians and people that would go perform for those governments. And he knows why. So it's he's saying this and he already knows the arguments against it. None of him trying to combat these individual things that people are throwing at him. There were no women there. Okay, whatever. Oh, their faces weren't covered. Cool. All right, does that change anything?
It was just great to be at home. I fucking knew it. I knew they were lying.
All right.
It's not all right. It's really fucked up that they do that.
You sound like anyone's uncle yelling at the TV.
So fucking true. So, Conan? Is that you, Conan? So true. Extremely true. Totally out of touch. Yeah, he's the guy who he didn't want to trust the news. Oh, they were fear-mongering about the Middle East? What? They were the news was fear-mongering about it. Okay, yeah. All right, so you go there and you see this extremely fragile veneer of civilization over there. And you're like, he literally said that he thought that they were just all living in tents. That's what he thought. He thought they were savages there. And so he goes there and you're like, oh, there's a Starbucks here. There are all these things. This is civilized. This is plenty civilized. The news in America lied to me. And now I double don't trust the news.
I fucking knew it. I knew they were lying.
All right.
It's not all right. It's really fucked up that they do that.
You sound like anyone's uncle yelling at the TV.
All right, so Bill Burr has been
True.
trying to address the Riyadh Comedy Festival controversy, and
That's
he's
what it used to be. Now they yell on platforms.
not doing himself any favors with this. I mean, this feels even more insulting than him actually doing the festival. You know, I'd respect it more if he just like, listen, it's too much money to turn down. That's why I did it. Because
Yeah, exactly. You know, that wouldn't be great, but this is just a whole other thing, right? Like going to the festival, it's its own thing, right? Now he's creating a new thing that he's doing, which is coping and seething, shitting, pissing himself.
Instead, he's trying to act like this was a virtuous thing he did. And if you criticize it, you're the self-righteous one or sanctimonious one. He kept saying that when he addressed it on his podcast. And Conan O'Brien's, he did a live show with Conan, and people apparently walked out during it. It was that bad.
Wow. I hadn't heard that.
It was in between Burr acting like the people criticizing
I mean, so this is on r/Conan. We walked out of yesterday's live show with Bill Burr. I was really interested when Bill was revealed as the surprise guest. He's a smart guy. I've always enjoyed his contrarian takes. That's the thing. He's also very contrarian. And the people he's being contrarian with are, you know, before he was, you know, still part of the common man. But now we are contrary to him. He sees himself in opposition to us, regular folks. Okay. I've always enjoyed his contrarian takes, and I was curious how he'd respond to all the flack he's been getting for the Riyadh Comedy Fest. Instead, he went on a bizarre rant about how he did such an incredible act of good by doing this festival, and that anyone upset with him is a moron who doesn't even know where Saudi Arabia is on a map and must think everyone there is a machete-wielding, people-beheading psychopath because they've never actually been to the country like he now has. We couldn't believe how self-righteous he was about it all, talking about how because he went and performed comedy there, he helped advance the people over there to be closer to where we're at. That he's now able to see that the Saudis are people just like us because they like the same jokes, and that his critics are just bots, and that the only way to make money these days is to troll and outrage people. Yeah. Okay, Scally.
him are the ones virtue signaling. You talk about how if you actually care about Saudi Arabia and the people there, you'd realize this was a positive thing he did. He really acts like this was some philanthropic work he was doing over there and says it helped progress their country. And of course, never mentions all the money he got paid to go over there by the royal family, and doesn't mention the human rights violations they commit. So it's impossible to take him seriously anymore. I mean, even at one point during this podcast, when he's trying to be serious and talk about how they help progress over there, I'm pretty sure you can hear someone in the crowd laugh at him.
And to their credit, they said, all right, what do we got to do? And they basically whittled it all the way down to you couldn't talk about any religion. Theirs, yours, anybody else's, and you couldn't make fun of the royals. That was it. And I know a lot
You
of people
couldn't make fun of anyone else's religions? Louis was a bigger loss for me comedy-wise, but damn, another comedian I can't enjoy anymore. Well, that's also the thing. I mean, Louis, I haven't been keeping up with him, but he definitely got really, really cranky when he wasn't getting his head pats anymore. Like, all these guys, when they aren't being praised, like, Louis was saying all this shit, and we thought that he was, like, woke. We thought that he was, like, oh, he makes jokes about Jesus, and he talks about, you know, disgusting men and stuff, but he's like, no, he was describing, when he was talking about being disgusting, he was being serious. Like, he was just talking about being disgusting because he is a disgusting person. So all of these people, they had these very, like, confident, like, sitting up straight, looking very pleased with themselves, waiting for their head pats, sitting at the Daily Show desk, Trevor Noah, just saying whatever his shit was at the time. Everybody talking about social justice. Nobody cares now. But it's like, someone like Louis too, though, it's like, they're not even funny anymore. Like, once you, like, aside from just, like, you know, the absolute bitterness people get when they complain about being canceled for shit that they did, that they decided to do.
That's fucked up, man. It's like, well, they just progressed the ball like 10 yards, and it was amazing. And we get there, it's like in the round, and I'm waiting to go on, and everybody in the crowd is dressed like fucking Yasser Arafat, right? Listen, what went going on over there was a super positive thing. If you actually give a fuck about those people and how they're living over there, there's gonna have to be these times.
Here are some comments. Like, hey man, they have Chili's. They have a Chili's over there. Burr's next gig, United Healthcare corporate gig. Hey, once you get to know the top brass, not bad dudes. They're just like us. Damn, Bill actually nuked his self-nuked his reputation. Yeah. What's it worth? Because the money, you can't, you know, as they say, you're not going to bring the money with you.
Kind of pull them in. And I were there. If you actually give a fuck about those people and how they're living over there, there's going to have to be these types of things to kind of pull them in. And I will tell you, the Cheesecake Factory in Riyadh, man, it's incredible. It's right next to the Pizza Hut.
It's fucking capitalism. Those global corporations, they have money. People want money. They don't give a shit. Corporations don't care about exploitation. What are you talking about?
Hut in the KFC, and if you want a pair of Timberlands, it's across the street next to.
He keeps talking about Timberlands. Here's the thing. Bill Burr is just actually racist. I gotta say, like, he literally just thought that people in the Middle East were all savages and that they didn't have stuff. Like, no. That's crazy. Damn.
To the Marriott, catty corner to the fucking Hilton. Like, things like this have to happen in order to gradually, like, progress. And then, you know, it was necessary. It felt right afterward. Like, I really, and it really was like the people, and I vibe with them.
It really was like the people. I vibe with them. Yeah, all the rich fucks.
Funny.
Yeah, so Bill's
I remember, like, listening to him talk about how his wife is always, like, yelling at him and trying to explain why things are fucked up. And he seems like he's just perpetually, yes, dear. Like, I don't think he, like, I don't know anything about her, but I think he's just like, he's just like, what is it going to take for you to leave me alone?
Critics just don't understand. He really did this because he's a man of the people. Like, it's actually really brave and progressive to get paid a ton of money by a corrupt government and then do positive PR for them and ignore their use of slave labor. You know, you won't hear old Billy Bonesaw joke about that at all, because then he'll never get a check from the
Billy
Saudis again.
Bonesaw, nice. I hope that sticks. Billy Bonesaw. No, because of the guy who got chopped up, bonesawed. Billy Bonesaw. Keep it going.
Like, Tim Dillon proved that was off limits. You know, at least he was being honest and didn't censor himself, and he's being too honest. Like, he literally said he's just doing it for the money, and he's being paid to look the other way when it comes to slave labor and human rights violations. So that shows ignoring that stuff is part of the deal, and Bill knows that. You know, because usually he has no problem making fun of countries and making fun of the people there and their government and how they do things. And he used to do that with Saudi Arabia, but now that they're paying him, it's a different story. Like, now he'll just make a couple lighthearted jokes and then talk about how amazing his experience was and how great.
Bill is doing the propaganda part that he was paid for. His set didn't end in Riyadh. Anything he says about Saudi Arabia from here on out is tainted with the dishonesty of that royal blood money. Congratulations, Billiam. You sold your credibility, and you're now under the threat of murder if you don't toe the line. I don't know about... I mean, I have no idea. I don't know what Saudi government does. I mean, they did 9/11. I don't know how much interest there would be in killing Bill Burr, but I don't think they'd ever have a reason to, so... But yeah, no. Definitely... I don't know. I haven't seen anyone be out here talking shit about Saudi Arabia. How about that? Any of the comedians that went? Have we? Because, yeah, you probably can't say anything negative afterwards, too, right? I'm really curious. Like, are you also signing away your future criticism?
Like, if you have a problem with him performing there, it's because you're a racist idiot that can't find Saudi.
Soon Bill would be talking about the footprints of an ancient chicken. True.
The footsteps of an ancient chicken.
I am your expert, okay? I just fucking am.
He's getting paid by the Saudi government to ignore the corruption there. And then also he talks about how Iceland is a more ethical country. But then he's like, it's kind of weird over there, though. And then he makes a joke about how there's a lot of inbreeding in Iceland and they need an app to help prevent against it. And the audience is not...
It's weird, but we're going to have to get used to this shit if Trump keeps getting elected. I see no difference in performing in USA versus Saudi Arabia right now. Well, the difference is if you perform in the US, you're performing for the people, individual people paying tickets, everyday citizens, but he went and he performed for royalty, for diplomats, for the Omega wealthy billionaire, you know. He was not performing for the public. So that's the difference.
not seem to like that, probably because he just spent 15 minutes chilling for Saudi Arabia.
Have you seen the price of a ticket nowadays? I mean, I'm not going, but the general public could go. That's just the reality. I mean, you can have like your rationalizations, but ultimately, like, it is the fact of the matter, and that's really all that matters to me.
Everybody can just, they release the bots so they can just keep it going. And
Did you know?
I am happy that
Did you have an inkling before you went to Riyadh? Did you or the other comedians have any sense that there'd be this kind of response when you got back?
No, I had no fucking idea. Because it was funny. One time I did.
Which is insane. If you didn't know, if you had no inkling that you get this reaction, then you are just even more detached than I thought you were. That's insane. Especially you yourself. You think that you can be out here, rebuking people for doing that, and then you can just do it and no one's even going to pay attention?
Abu Dhabi, and one person texts me, oh, you're going over there to get that blood money, right? And I go, hey, just for the record, I'm also doing London, England on that tour, which is arguably the bloodiest fucking money out there. So there's like that element of racism to it where if brown people are doing it, it's fucked up.
Now he cares about brown people. Yeah. Everyone cares about, vulnerable parties when it's convenient, when it's a talking point.
No, I'm part of I don't give a fuck what all these phony fucking people are saying. My thing is I go out to perform.
So you don't think there's any valid criticism? You think it's only bad-faced people that are saying these things?
In front of fucking people, and as I've been traveling the world, I want to see more of it. And the thing that I loved about going to these Arab countries is that their sense of humor, they're silly. They're really silly. And I'm a silly person.
So it's wild. He mocks the audience there for being too sensitive and then talks about how the Saudis have a great sense of humor. Even though there's clearly a lot of topics you'd never joke about over there. Bill tries to spin this like he just loves traveling and going to new places and experiencing new cultures and meeting new people. And
he doesn't strike me as that kind of guy, though.
He did it, had nothing to do with the all expenses paid trip and 1.5 million he was getting when he went there. And he even said the people that didn't go, I think he might be referring to the comedians that turned it down, or maybe just people in general. But he said, if you don't want to go there, you didn't go there, then you're an asshole.
I'm a silly person and like Anchorman type of shit. But they don't fucking show that over here. So it's kind of fun to get a worldview by going like a little more of an informed worldview than if you sit on your couch and let some talking head, then you just think it's machine guns and people saying all of that stuff, and it's like, I don't know. It was a really I was like buzzing after the show. That's what a good time it was. And all of these fucking assholes that didn't go and never will go, all they're ever going to see is the machine guns, and if that's how you want to live, that's how you want to live. I don't give a fuck, Conan. And if it affects my career, I've been to LAX enough in my life. I'll fucking sit home for a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess if you don't take Saudi.
Ridiculous. So fucking dumb. So cope.
LAX enough, if that good time it was. And
wow. Just
Wow.
Hey, Queen.
Wow. 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 Oh my fucking God. What the fuck, dude?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you don't take Saudi blood money from the crown prince, then you're just an uncultured asshole. So I think this is when some of the audience started walking.
Let's see. I was also there. This is from the Reddit. I felt very mixed when Bill Burr appeared because the first thing I thought of was the fact that he had just done the show in Riyadh. If this had taken place any time beforehand, I would have been psyched. However, I went in with an open mind and was surprised how quickly they jumped into the controversy. Not only did I disagree with a lot of what he was saying, it just felt like he was grasping at straws that weren't even there. That's correct. Constantly referring to Americans not being able to point out the country on a map. This is not a measure of morality or understanding of the issue. If anything, it's just another sign that the public education system sucks. Burr took money from an oppressive regime to entertain the leaders and elite of that oppressive regime. It's not that we don't understand that the people over there are just like us. I'm sure the general public can be. However, we are very much differently minded than the political oppressors who are clearly racist, sexist, corrupt pieces of shit. He also said that it wouldn't be very different if he took it from the English or London government, since they have such a bloody past, or our own current American government. Except here's the thing, if he were to perform for the US president and cabinet, I would have been pissed off too. Fuck those assholes. Actually, true. If he went and he performed for Trump, I think he would also get shit. That'd be super weird, right? Wouldn't it be super fucking weird?
Now, because, I mean, who wants to listen to this? Like, he's just insulting the audience. And this was a theater in LA, so I'm sure most of the people there were liberals and probably used to like Bill. Like, this person who...
I was really interested when Bill was revealed as the surprise guest. He's a smart guy. I've always enjoyed his contrarian takes, and I was curious how he'd respond to all the flack he's been getting for the Riyadh Comedy Fest. Instead, he went on a bizarre rant about how he did such an incredible act of good by doing this festival, and that anyone upset at him is a moron who doesn't know where Saudi Arabia is on a map and must think everyone there is a machete-wielding, people-beheading psychopath because they've never actually been to the country like he now has. We couldn't believe how self-righteous he was about it all, talking about how because he went and performed comedy there, he helped advance the people over there to be closer to where we're at, quote-unquote. That he's now able to see that the Saudis are people just like us because they like the same jokes, that his critics are just bots, and that the only way to make money these days is to troll and outrage people. Again, he's now able to see that they're people. Other people could always see that they're people. That's just you being racist. And still, it's still racist to think, oh, well, you know, like the totality of, oh, it's not they're not living in tents with their camels. So the entire thing must be awesome. No acknowledgement of the fact that this was a government-sponsored event thrown as a tool for propaganda to whitewash one of the most oppressive regimes out there. And he took money directly from the Saudi government to perform for not just a bunch of regular citizens, but literally diplomats, the royal family, and the Saudi elite. And now that he's literally a millionaire who doesn't need the money. I'm sorry, but you don't need to know everything about a country to be upset about human rights violations.
So even a crowd in LA thought Bill was being too self-righteous.
Was there as well and also left. Totally agree that it felt like we as a live audience who were super excited to see the show were forced to just listen to this person preach at us why anyone who disagrees with him is stupid. After the intro to the show, when everyone was super pumped to see Conan, Sona, and Gorley, they even did a fun bit where Conan went through the crowd and bought drinks from the bar. Suddenly it felt like we were being lectured at. While I understand that Conan doesn't usually challenge guests like this, it was disappointed not to hear him push back at all, especially to the really obviously obtuse and honestly Islamophobic things Burr was saying. Burr's entire measure of a people's humanity is apparently if they are quote-unquote like us. Was very disheartening to see Conan, Sona, and Gorley just nod along to really ignorant comments like these.
That's pretty bad. And after he gets done explaining how he helped Saudi Arabia progress, he probably felt people kind of turning on him. So then he started going off about the U.S. government and ICE deportations, and he got people back on his side. But it was interesting because at first it seemed like people were kind of conflicted.
It's because all of these people are just fucking bluster and bullshit. You know? We don't know anyone. People demonstrate who they are with their actions. And the continuation. I don't know. You're the one painting the picture of who you are.
Seemed like people didn't really know how to react to this.
What was so great about it was the people there. You could feel it, like they needed it, they wanted it, and they wanted you to push. And that's what the comics did. And your job was to just, okay, we've gotten them to here, now you can move them to there. And it's like, as much as people...
It is crazy. Like, he is going so far. Now he's turning it into like a humanitarian project. That's crazy. Does Bill Burr want to colonize Saudi Arabia? Huh. Interesting. But yeah, that's intense, Cope.
And they wanted you to push. And that's what the comics did. And your job was to just, okay,
because also the people there aren't the ones that are in danger. Someone else that could be a fan of your comedy and pushing and stuff out on the street, maybe a fan of yours there. If they publicly laughed along, they'd be in big trouble.
Them to here, now you can move them to there. And it's like, as much as people don't like what's going on over there, it's like they're not going to progress with isolation. So if you go over there and you just sort of like move them a little bit.
Yes, that's what you need to become. He's essentially a missionary if you think about it. He is bringing the word of Christ to the primitive unbelievers.
I don't know. I feel like we're moving towards them in a lot of ways over here, you know? Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, we're fucking putting...
Yeah, and you know what that is? Also bad.
Moms and dads and sticking them in a van for making illegally made fucking tacos to go to Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, it's fucking insane.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Also, yeah, okay, cool. What if Trump, the Trump campaign, like how much would it take for the Trump administration to pay Bill Burr to perform?
Someday they're going to be out of brown people to put in those vans. They're still going to have the vans, so you shouldn't be feeling comfortable about it, thinking that you're not going to be in it. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. So
pandering motherfucker, you don't give a fuck. Yeah, dehumanizing people is wrong in general. It doesn't make it less wrong. You don't have to care about any of it, but it is what it is. And I think to like push back on people who do have an issue about it is silly.
So once Bill got done trying to prove how righteous he is for performing in Saudi Arabia and speaking out about ICE, then he said that people criticizing him.
I remember he once criticized Oprah for saying the same shit about Dubai that he's now saying about Saudi Arabia. It's rich for you accusing others of being sanctimonious when a huge portion of your career is exactly being sanctimonious in an entertaining and socially acceptable way. That is completely true, commenter.
Are the ones trying to virtue signal, and they're being performative, because Conan mentions how Bill's been getting the most shit for this because of how famous he is, and people are annoyed with Conan too for not pushing back. Like, the real reason Bill's getting so much shit for this is because of how hypocritical he is, and people actually expected better from him. You know, because he's the one that spent the past year talking about how bad wealth inequality is and how bad billionaires are and how they need to be put down like rabid dogs, only to take money from one of the most oppressive regimes and turn a blind eye to slave labor. But if you point that out, apparently you're the one being performative.
What the fuck? Like,
you know what I love? That a bunch of people went over, but because of your success, you're one of the main names that gets mentioned over and over again. So congratulations.
I haven't literally watched any of it. Or I don't care about all of that performative shit. And it's like if someone actually wanted to have a real conversation and stuff, as far, you know, as like a performer, one of my favorite things is this.
Yeah, so I guess Bill's critics were just being too performative. You know, like I really thought you just going over to Saudi Arabia for the money. I didn't realize it was really like a humanitarian effort. So I got it all wrong. You know, Bill really truly is a man of the people.
Here's the video. Crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize that he was actually he went over there as a humanitarian effort. He went on a missions trip, you know, trying to bring freedom